Hey, what's going on everybody? It's etaprime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at a really awesome accessory for your Xbox controller that will allow it to work with the Nintendo Switch. It does have wake up functionality and built-in motion controls. Plus, once this is all said and finished, we've actually added a couple extra buttons here so we can use them as kind of Elite-esque controllers for our PC. And they still work with Android, iOS, and your Xbox. But I gotta say, one of my favorite features of this new accessory for our Xbox controllers is the rechargeable battery. It's got a 1000 milliamp hour battery. We do not need to remove it to charge it up. We can charge it up over USB Type-C. And to do all this, we're going to be using RetroFlag's new SuperPack for these Xbox controllers. This is a really cool accessory, one of my favorites so far. It also has turbo and macro functionality built in. So overall, this definitely adds a lot of functionality to an Xbox controller. And if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know this is one of the main controllers I recommend for PC gaming, given that you can pick them up on sale all the time for around $39, and they offer a ton of different colors. And pairing it up with the new RetroFlag SuperPack adds a lot of functionality with this Xbox controller. This is something that I can highly recommend. And inside of the box, obviously, you'll get the SuperPack. We get a USB Type-C charging cable and our 1000 milliamp hour battery. Really cool little design here. We do not need to remove it to charge this battery up. It'll charge up through the SuperPack over USB Type-C. Give you a closer look here. We've got the SuperPack and our 1000 milliamp hour battery. Up top, we've got two LED indicators, a function button, our Bluetooth pairing button. We've also got two extra programmable buttons, USB Type-C in, and around back, we've got a switch here. We've got our switch mode for S, X mode is for PC, and with it set up like this, we can use those extra buttons, the macro and the turbo on PC. And the midway button is going to allow us to charge this over USB Type-C, and it also bring our Xbox controller kind of back to stock, so we can use it with our Xbox Series S or Series X. And internally, you can see we've got these 3 contact points for the internal battery. That way, we can just charge it right over USB Type-C, no need to remove the battery at all. And we can get 8 hours of gameplay out of a single charge. The SuperPack also supports firmware updates, so if we ever need an update for new features or anything like that, we can do it directly from their website. And installation is really easy here. Basically, we're going to grab our Xbox controller, remove the battery cover, we'll place the rechargeable battery in, and then we'll just slide the SuperPack right on. Now this is a lot different from other battery packs or accessories that I've seen, because this actually plugs into the USB Type-C on the top of the Xbox controller, allowing it to communicate with the controller here. And to charge the internal battery, we're just going to flip the rear switch to the middle, plug in USB Type-C, and we'll charge it up there. Like I mentioned, we can get 8 hours of gameplay out of this unit. First thing I wanted to do was show you how to set this up on your Nintendo Switch. From the main menu, we're going to go to our controller section, change grip order, and from the SuperPack, we're just going to swap it over to S. We'll get a flashing indicator on the SuperPack itself, and the switch is automatically going to detect it. If not, you will have to press your L and R buttons, but as you can see, it's already connected here. Really easy to do with the switch, and it does support wake up, so if your switch is sleeping, you can turn this controller right back on from the SuperPack and wake the switch up. So basically, the way this is working to communicate with the Nintendo Switch is over the SuperPack. Since we have that USB Type-C going into the Xbox controller, it's connected to the SuperPack like a wired controller and sending those inputs over that SuperPack to the Switch. And we've got a Pro controller now. So I'm a big fan of the Xbox controller layout. I know some people love the PlayStation layout, but I've been a big fan of the Xbox layout for a very long time. Input latency is very, very minimal. I mean, you're not going to get much more than you would with a stock Pro controller. And, you know, if you don't want latency, you always go wired with it. And motion controls work right out of the box. There was no setup that I needed to do, but there is a calibration mode just in case you need to calibrate it. Since I've got my bow out in Zelda, we can just use the built-in motion controls with the SuperPack on that Xbox controller now. It also works with flick and tilt, so if you were playing something like Odyssey and you needed to throw your hat around, you could do it directly from the SuperPack connected to the Xbox controller. But yeah, this actually works out really well, and I kind of like playing Zelda here with an Xbox controller. Like I mentioned, I'm just really used to using this kind of layout here, so it feels right at home. We've also got turbo functionality built in. We can set this up very easily. We're going to hold our function button and press the button we want to act as our turbo button. It's going to enable it right here. I've just done jump with Zelda. We can disable it by pressing it again. That way we don't have the turbo enabled anymore with that button, but it's super easy to set this up. And another really cool feature here is we've got macro. Up to 42 keystrokes can be programmed. Basically, we're going to hold our function button and press our 2 extra buttons on the top of the SuperPack. This is going to put us into record mode, and we can do up to 42 different inputs, and it's going to remember those inputs. Just do a few here. Once we're done, we'll press those 2 buttons again, and in order to get it to replay that macro, we'll press them one last time. This is going to allow it to replay that macro we just recorded. We can totally delete that macro or record right over it, but this would come in really handy for certain games that require repetitive movement. You can set this up and just kind of let it play all day, especially if you're doing some kind of grind or maybe even, let's say, a glitch to earn more money. You could set it up that way so you don't have to mess around with it. And of course, this also works with PC. Now, in order to pair this, we're going to go into our Bluetooth settings in Windows. From the controller, we're going to put this into X mode and then hold the Bluetooth or the pairing button on the SuperPack. We want to make sure this starts to rapidly blink. It'll show up as our Xbox controller. Now there's 2 showing up here. It'll show the SuperPack, but we're not going to connect to that. We're only going to connect to the Xbox controller. And we'll just give it a second to pair up. If you wanted to connect to your Android device, you're going to do the same exact thing from the Bluetooth settings over there also. And it's also compatible with the Key Linker app. That way we could program this controller for on-screen inputs in Android for games that don't natively support controllers like Genshin Impact. I'm just testing it out with Street Fighter 6 and it seems to work out really well here. Now we do have those 2 extra buttons up top, but we'll need to map those in-game, so it's really game dependent. Inside of Street Fighter, I could go to the settings, controller settings, and map those if I want to. But we've also got that macro and turbo functionality here with PC also. So we can set this up for fighting games or grinding games, macro and or turbo. At the time of making this video, I think they're only selling the black version on Amazon and their website. Not sure if they're going to release a white version, but it does pair up really nicely with the 20th anniversary Xbox controller, which just happens to be my favorite Xbox controller I own right now. Matches it perfectly, and adding that extra functionality plus that rechargeable battery is absolutely amazing. So yeah, overall, I've really been enjoying the RetroFlag SuperPack for the Xbox controller. You can head over to Amazon right now if you want to pick one up. I'll leave a link in the description. And if you're interested in learning more, they've got a lot of information over on their website. Also leave a link to the official RetroFlag website. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments below. And like always, thanks for watching.